Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? This is Enrique of Spanish United. Today I have a very special guest. Jennifer, would you be kind enough to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Jennifer Stark. I'm the current mayor of the city of Claremont.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Today's topic is going to be about Hispanophobia. And as I've spoken to you over the phone, I am the founder and director of Spanish United, which is a civil rights organization for Hispanic people. And one of the reasons why I contacted you is because I wanted to discuss about Hispanophobia that has become very reoccurrent in our society. So I've been to Claremont many times. It's a very nice college town, very progressive, very nice and neat. So I wanted to get more feedback on your opinion of Hispanophobia, what you know, what you have seen, and what can cities can do to address the issue of Hispanophobia.
Well, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I first want to make it very clear that as a Caucasian who presents as Caucasian, I have I personally have never experienced the indignity of Hispanic phobia. So I just want to make that very clear that I'm not talking from a place of experience. However, I think that it is the moral obligation of anyone in leadership to make sure that conversations around race, diversity, inclusion are candid and open, and that we provide a that public comment at city meetings is always welcoming and seen as a public place for everybody to get their voice on record. Uh, um, just a little bit, if I may, it's been my experience living in Claremont that Claremont's very, very proud of its Hispanic roots. Arbo Verde is a neighborhood in Claremont that is um, the first and the only neighborhood in Claremont to be on the cultural registry. Uh, um, it's a neighborhood that that it was primarily a Hispanic neighborhood, and the houses were all built after World War II out of a lot of less expensive materials. And there's some really incredible architecture that's broadly celebrated, not just in Claremont, but in home tours and architectural circles. I think it's just also just I want to acknowledge that I do know that it's a National Hispanic Heritage Month, and the city has announced that, and there's going to be an Indigenous Peoples Day on Monday, and um, in we are very proud that the Claremont colleges are in Claremont. Now, while the city can't take credit for the progressiveness on the college campus, we can be very proud that they're there. And there's a Chicano Latino Students Affairs Office, or CLSA, that does a lot of incredible work. Again, that is not to my credit. I'm just proud
Hmm.
to say to say that it's there. Uh, um, so I think, well, and then also the other thing is that one of our council members is very proudly Hispanic and a Spanish speaker, and and routinely reminds the community that he is a Spanish speaker and is there as a resource. So I think those are initial steps. But as I said to begin with, I think it's really important that we always hear suggestions and even criticisms in the spirit of being able to do better to address them.
Yeah, I think it's very important because I think when there is honest, civil, open discussion, I think people are able to get their points across. And I think because of political correctness and other things, it's like people are afraid to speak. And when people speak, people usually argue and they make personal insults. And I think it doesn't really achieve anything. It just falls on deaf ear. And one of the things that I do with my organization, not only am I a civil rights organization, but I also do forums with different people. Like I've met with different mayors, like with the mayor of Arcadia, the mayor of Alhambra, San Gabriel, different cities to talk to encourage Hispanic unity with different groups. I even did a podcast the other day with the mayor of this little town in Arkansas, which was on the news to be the most racist town in the entire country. So I think it's very important to reach out to different people that may seem different from us, so that way we could get to a mutual understanding. Because I think that is something that is very important. And one of the things that concerns me is that it seems that even though Hispanics are a majority everywhere, for some reason we tend to be silent when it comes to civil rights, and that's one of the things that my organization does, is that we make awareness of what's happening with Hispanics in the country. Like one of the things that I'm doing is trying to lobby for hate crimes protections to be passed for Hispanic people, because currently Hispanics are the only group in the United States that don't have hate crimes protection. So it's like when someone does something against a Hispanic based on racial prejudice, they don't really treat it as a hate crime. They treat it more like a like an assault or whatever. So that's one thing that I'm trying to change, and also to get recognition for Hispanic people. I think it's great that they have a Hispanic Heritage Month, but I think more needs to be done when it comes to recognizing Hispanics as a separate ethnicity.
What is it that you think cities should do?
I think one of the cities need to do is meet with civil leaders, local leaders of the Hispanic community, have a town hall meeting, like for example, what I'm doing with you, to address concerns with the Hispanic community when it comes to education, services, and anything that they have concerns about to address them. Because I feel that there's a lot of needs in the Hispanic community in general that are not being met. And I think a lot of it has to do because of language barrier. A lot of it has to do probably because there isn't any type of rapport between the city council or with the Hispanic population. So I feel that many Hispanics feel that they're left out. And I think that if the city were to reach out towards the Hispanic community, like for example, having town hall meetings, inviting local leaders, petitioning directly to the mayors, A, B, and C is happening, and what can we do to get it resolved, to get resources allocated, that type of thing. Because a lot of Hispanics lack a lot of resources. It's not that Hispanics don't reach out in many circumstances. A lot of it has to do is that they have a lack of funding and a lack of resources when it comes to many things, when it comes to housing, when it comes to services, when it comes to education.
Enrique, what state are you in?
I'm in California. I'm in
Oh,
Glendale.
oh, you're in Glendale. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that it is really important that it's it's very easy to access where resources are available, like through small business grants and supporting small businesses and creating pathways for small businesses to operate that other than brick and mortar. And the city, actually the region goes, so San Gabriel Valley um, really does try to address the needs of the minority business owner and make sure that there's like through the um, San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership,
Hmm.
and there's like the League of Cities has the Hispanic Latinx Caucus. Uh, um, uh, I know of a lot of powerful Hispanic leaders, particularly in our area. Mayor Tim Sandoval is Hispanic. Actually, the Council of Pomona is primarily Hispanic. We are in my area, um, we are very fortunate to be surrounded by powerful Hispanic leaders.
Hmm. Yeah, because what I've noticed is that, I was born and raised in California. I grew up in Fontana and also in Calamasa. But when I moved to, the valley in this area like 11 years ago, I've seen like a sharp contrast between the way Hispanic people live, like for example in Glendale, or Hispanics that live in San Gabriel Valley, like particularly like in Arcadia, Temple City, and whatever. It's like I see that many other minorities, they seem to have a higher standard of living, while Hispanics that have been there forever, they seem to be far behind. It's not because they're not intelligent. And again, I just think a lot of it has to do is because many of them feel marginalized and they feel that they're not participating in the economy. I've done intakes and interviews with many Hispanic people, and they told me that, for example, many that live like in Arcadia and Temple City, which is predominantly Asian, they feel that a lot of the Asians have more opportunities than the local Hispanic population. I think a lot of it has to do that they don't have the economic links. Like one thing that I've seen with the Chinese, particularly like in San Gabriel, is that they have something that's called the Bamboo Network, where they have economic, cultural, and business links with overseas Chinese, and they all help each other out mutually. It's not just the extended family. It's the wider community, and I feel that if the city were to establish something similar to that, I think they can improve the plight of the Hispanic community, and that could serve as a deterrent, you know, for Hispanics that get involved in crime. Because one of the reasons why many people get into crime is because they lack the economic opportunity, especially those that are not able to go to college. If many of them were able to have an incentive to start a business or to participate in the economy, I think that would be beneficial for the Hispanic community, and also beneficial for the city, because that will also bring crime down.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also, like the work you're doing, which is networking on behalf of your community to get information out there. And like I said, the Latino caucus is, you should look into it if you haven't already.
The Latino caucus that's here in California, or the one that's in Washington?
No, Latino caucus here in California.
Are they the ones that's based out of Sacramento?
Well, it's representatives from all the cities in California, but League of Cities, is so no, they're not. They're based everywhere.
Oh, okay, okay.
Two of our members of city council are members of the Latino caucus.
Okay, I could definitely do that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm reaching out to different Hispanic organizations to work together.
Yeah, and then to also uh, um, help provide more information to your network about small business grants that are available for Hispanic people, because there are a lot of them.
Hmm. Are there like prerequisites, or are they like in
I
interest?
don't know, but there is a lot of um, like business incubators that have to do with raising people up and 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 helping to get in the way um, of these preconceived notions that marginalize different cultures.
Right, right, because that's one thing that the stereotype of Hispanic people is that they're not educated, and
Yeah,
that's one thing that I'm trying to dispel.
yeah, I have to let you know that's a really uneducated stereotype, and it shouldn't be tolerated, and it shouldn't be perpetuated in any way. Anyone
Oh
who thinks
yeah.
that is completely is really ignorant.
Oh yeah, and believe me, I've had conversations with different communities outside of the Hispanic community that have said that to me. Like one example, because I'm also part Jewish, and I remember a long, long time ago, when I was in synagogue, I was speaking with these two gentlemen, very nice guys, and I don't know if they forgot I was part Hispanic or whatever, but one thing that they tell me is that the difference between Jews and Hispanics is that even if a Jewish community is very poor, they will have books all the way from the floor all the way to the top. Is that they promote education, while Hispanics, you won't see any books, and that really struck me because it's like, there are Hispanics that are educated, and it's like they forget that there are Hispanics, that are academics. But again, a lot of people base it on stereotypes.
Yeah, ignorance comes in all kinds of different ways.
Oh, that
It's
I know.
it's a ridiculous thing for someone that person who you came across in the synagogue was actually kind of bringing shame to the synagogue by talking like that.
Oh, I know. It's
It's
considered
like,
part. It's considered part of Lashon Hara and Holy Hashem.
that's it, bad on him. So, um, but I want to appreciate you for the work you're doing. I want to make sure that you feel like you could reach out to me if there's anything specific that I could help with. If there's an ally, if there's an opportunity for me to be an ally, I would be privileged, and I would love to to be a resource. And also I am here to listen if there's things that we can do better. So I
Yes.
appreciate everything that you're doing.
Yeah, one thing that I'm looking for is that I would like to get sponsors. Like, if there's any way that the city of Claremont could co-sponsor probably like a community center, Spanish United Community Center, to bring Hispanics together, also with the local community to provide services. I think that's something that I think would be awesome because Hispanics are looking for community centers where they could do things because everybody else, like the Jewish, the Armenians, the Persians, the Asians, everybody else has like their own centers, and Hispanics, they don't really have centers where the kids can go and do things, learn Spanish, kind of like a boys and girls club,
The, this
academics, tutoring.
the city of Claremont has 36,000 people, and our biggest industry is nonprofit education. And I tell you that just to let you know that we don't have a big funding source from our biggest industry. So the only way that our city is able to operate is through sales tax and property tax, and other mechanisms such as that. So cities that have requisite funding to build infrastructure like that are usually cities with a greater population because they have more funding. Also, cities that are in what's known as a Cal Enviro screen, or they're called economic opportunity zones. And Claremont, because Claremont, its median income doesn't qualify it as either one of those things. So cities, and rightfully so, right? Funding goes to cities that need it. So Claremont doesn't qualify for federal funding for as any kind of opportunity zone, but a city like Pomona does. And I would be surprised if Pomona doesn't have a Hispanic youth center. They have Bright Prospects, which is an incredible. You should look up Bright Prospects. It's incredible. It's a mentorship and tutoring facility that takes kids straight from like elementary school. They stick with them through college, through high school, and through college, and help these children get scholarships. It's an amazing, wonderful uh, organization. Bright Prospects. Write it
Right,
down.
prospects. Okay,
It's
okay.
really
I will.
great. But I would be very surprised if Pomona doesn't have, there's I know there's Cafe Libra, which is a bookstore that's all centered around Hispanic organizations. I know about it because I'm friends with the owner. Um, there's Pomona has a very rich Hispanic cultural center. Claremont just doesn't have the capacity to have we are having a really hard time maintaining the buildings that we already operate. But at Hughes Center, there's Spanish language class in both our senior center and our human services recreation center.
Really, I did not know that. I didn't know that because
And we also
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
we also have a tutoring called CLASP, and of course it's not just for it's for any child who is who needs a tutor at home. So mostly it's children who have two working parents. Now, of course, that is not only a situation that happens in Hispanic households. That's more of an economic thing, right?
Right.
So, but CLASP is something that is another organization that the city supports, that helps families with two working parents, where the children benefit from having an extra grown-up who wants to help them with their homework.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
also we collaborate with the senior centers in Claremont, which is kind of a nice combo. Kids and seniors go together really well.
Oh, I agree with you because the kids need to feel that they're appreciated and cared
Yeah.
for. One of the reasons why a lot of the kids, Hispanic students in particular, drop out of school is because they don't feel that they are appreciated. And I said this many times. The school and the parents have to work together for the benefit of the student. It's
Yeah.
not the parents' job to educate the children when they're at school, and it's not the teacher's job to make sure that the children or the student does their homework while they get home. They have to work together.
Yeah, absolutely. And our culture has to honor the richness of what it is to be a Californian and what it is to be an American.
Oh, I definitely agree with you.
We are not we're bound together because we all have morals, but our cultures make us really different, and that contributes to the intricacy and the beauty and the complexity, and we are enriched by each other.
I agree with you, and I think that California could definitely be a model for development for other states and other communities.
Um, Enrique, I'm really sorry, but I'm now a little bit late for my next appointment.
I understand, but I appreciate you coming onto my show. And when I'm done, I will send you the link to the podcast. And I truly apologize for the inconvenience that my computer was a little bit slow.
No, no, not at all, not at all. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you know, yeah, I appreciate you giving me some time, and it was a real pleasure to talk to you. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Definitely, I truly appreciate it. Toda rabah for being on my show.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.